The Queen of the Damned is one of my favourite books from Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles book series. If I'm honest, it was the last book I enjoyed of hers until I read the Vampire Armand, which restored my faith after Memnoch the Devil, which I just did not enjoy in the slightest, and it makes me sad to say that because I truly adore Anne's work. Queen of the Damned, however, was just fantastic, as is the character it's based upon, Akasha. To date, my video on Akasha's life is the highest view count I've ever received on a video on this channel, and I'm not surprised that's the case because Akasha has everything you'd want in an antagonist. She's got such an intriguing past, such an intriguing story, and her overall character development, despite being dormant for millennia as one of those who must be kept, is brilliantly nurtured. So the topic for today's video is how Akasha became so corrupt, so evil, and so disconnected from empathy and compassion. What happened to her that seen her go from a beloved queen who wanted to help her people to a ruthless, cold, borderline genocidal killer who ruled over the vampire race until she became so tired of it all, she transitioned into a motionless being that we read about in the books and see at the beginning of the Queen of the Damned movie. By Kemetan royalty practices, Akasha was never really meant to become queen. After a king ascends to power, he would normally intermarry with a sibling of his choice, normally the eldest sister. This was common practice for centuries in order to keep the royal bloodline pure. King Enkil, however, had no sister to marry and therefore needed a queen outside of his family line. He actually went far outside Kemet to the land of Uruk, now modern-day Iraq, and made a deal with the country's leaders or elders in exchange to marry Akasha. It's not known what the deal was or what the land of Uruk got from it, most likely trading and protection from war, but it's not explained. Akasha was exceptionally beautiful and made a fine queen. What's more unusual is the fact that she would be the first foreign queen for as long back as records were taken of Kemetan history. The Kemetan people took to her quite well for a foreigner, and together, alongside her husband, set upon being a fair but strong leader. Enkil and Akasha wanted to change Kemet for the better. They wanted to eradicate outdated practices such as ritual cannibalism and instead opt to wrap the bodies in linen and offer them to the earth instead. This would manifest into the practice of mummification, something synonymous with ancient Egyptian culture. Akasha was known for her wisdom, her strength, and her compassion. She sought to rule her kingdom justly and was deeply concerned with the welfare of her people. She and Enkil pushed and promoted farming and agriculture in order for the economy to grow. Her reign was marked by efforts to ensure peace and prosperity in her realm. After Enkil's military campaign to expand the kingdom, in addition to protests against the outlawing of ancient practices, Akasha received backlash from a minority group of citizens and certain elders, which resulted in her having to take a more stern approach to those who wished to remain loyal to the old ways. However, the vast majority of her people happily embraced such changes. Akasha's descent into darkness began with her ascent to power. As a queen, she wielded absolute authority, which initially was used for the welfare of her people, as I mentioned in part 1. However, the intoxication of unchecked power gradually eroded her sense of morality and compassion. Power, especially when limitless and unchallenged, has a corrupting influence, as evidenced in Akasha's increasing despotism. She became obsessed with spirits as she was deeply involved with the religious practices of her culture, but more so, individuals who could harness the spirit's power and connect with them as the mere humans they were. It angered Akasha that as a queen, and someone who was worshipped as a semi-god, she did not have the ability to harness such a power. Who deserved it more than a queen? Who would be bestowed with such a power over her? Akasha's personality changed when she felt threatened, especially with the knowledge that she was a stranger too. She had already become accustomed to enforcing punishment on lawbreakers who challenged her and Enkil's new political view on how Kemet should be ruled, resulting in her hardening and becoming more cynical, realizing that she could not please everyone. Enkil also shared in her thickened personality. As king, he had so much more power than he knew what to do with. It was a weakness in a way. He sought to please his wife by taking extreme measures to demonstrate that their word was absolute, that they were law. The king and queen both began as they believed rulers should be, trying to do what's best, and they established a new sense of royalty. However, it soon became apparent that keeping their power and maintaining appearances as larger-than-life individuals was far more important. They slowly became more corrupt, more sinister, and would not tolerate any disloyalty. Kemet was falling under the dynasty of what appeared to be totalitarian rulers. This behaviour would only be amplified after their change into vampires, which I'll address as the video continues. After hearing of the powers of the red-haired twins who resided with their tribe on Mount Carmel, Akasha became intrigued by these women who could communicate and channel the power of the spirits. As I mentioned in part 2, she also felt threatened by individuals who could perform such magic while she herself, a queen, could not. This resulted in jealousy and a desire to prove these rumours wrong. It was also not unusual for there to be a stigma surrounding red-haired twins. By Kemetan law and practice, the birth of any such red-haired twins would see them be executed after birth, which gives credit to the rumours Akasha has heard. She summons the twins to court to hopefully put an end to these rumours by seeing them proved false. After her summons was rejected by the twins, Akasha's no-tolerance policy to a royal directive was immediately put on display. She instructed her king to travel to Mount Carmel and bring the twins back himself. Enkill and his army slaughtered the entire village, using the reason of ritual cannibalism for the mass murder of the twins' tribe and village. After the twins refused to reveal the secrets of the spirit world, Akasha had the twins publicly sexually assaulted by lead guard Cayman in an effort to strip them of their dignity and power. She then has the twins brutally mutilated. Mikara has her tongue removed, while Maharet has her eyes forcefully extracted. She believed that their powers were connected to those body parts, and by removing them, she silenced any challenge to her authority. Following their mutilation, the twins are separated and exiled. Maharet is sent to a remote island, while Mikara is cast adrift into the ocean in a coffin-like box. This separation is a significant part of their punishment, as it not only isolates them from each other, but also from their people and the rest of the world. The spirit Amel tortured Akasha daily for her inhumane treatment of the twins. She was driven to the point of insanity, such was Amel's perseverance, alongside Enkill and Cayman, who experienced a similar fate. When Akasha was fatally wounded at the hands of opposers, Amel suddenly went from her torturer to seizing the opportunity to intertwine its soul with the dying queen's body, subsequently transforming her into the first vampire, and giving her a power like no other has ever possessed. Akasha's transformation into a vampire was a pivotal moment that marked the end of her benevolent rule. She was no longer a consort to Enkill and never looked upon him as her equal again. Over time, as a vampire, Akasha's character underwent significant changes. The loss of her human limitations, the intoxicating power of her new abilities, and the isolation from mortal life led her down a path of corruption and tyranny, something she was already on the path towards but now greatly advanced with her new powers, which brought an overwhelming arrogance as she was now immortal. The queen, who once sought to rule with the best interests of her people at hand, eventually became a figure of terror, known for her ruthless and often cruel actions. Her transformation from a wise and just ruler to the feared queen of the damned is a central theme in Anne Rice's novels, highlighting the tragic fall from grace and the corrupting influence of absolute power and immortality. Akasha eventually grew tired of life, even as the mother of vampires, losing the will to drink, losing the will to live. She had seen so much but placed herself into a comatose-like condition for millennia until she found the strength to regain her power after hearing Lestat's music. As you can see, Akasha's journey to evil and corruption happened long before she became a vampire. If you want to watch my video that covers her entire life story, then you can click the card to watch, or maybe you'd rather start with Enkill's life story, which is also available to view. My suggestion, Start with Akasha, then Enkill. Click the card now and make your choice.